next to Coypu. And next to Coypu's got its name from the very early days when there used to be a lot of Coypus on the complex before there was so many anglers. They've disappeared now generally, but everyone used to see Coypus in this swim, so it became next to Coypu. So this swim actually is a bit misleading because it's a huge swim. Looks like it should be a double, but it's not. It's one of the few swims on the complex where it's capable of holding 2 anglers, but we call it an invite only swim. So if you came here with your mate and you wanted to double up, this is a swim where you could, and I'll show you in a minute the other side of the swim and you'll understand why it could possibly be a double, but it's certainly a very, very big single. Let's talk about the open water first. Open water out in front of you here. Again, bottom reasonably featureless. Again, look for those nice clean spots in amongst everything else. But fish are out there, you've got sort of like 8-9 foot of water. Fish are out there all the time. They've been jumping non-stop in this swim. And zig rigs again mustn't be ignored in this swim. See the fish cruising up and down the lake. Well worth a chuck with a zig rig during the day. So, open water. There is a bit of margins round to your right. A little bit awkward, a little bit tricky, but a few fish have jumped round there. So possibly a little bait flick round the edge might pull out you an extra fish or 2. So we briefly touched on this open water. Look for the fish, look for the bubbling fish because they're feeding. Alright. And it's a really hot swim, this one, and I really enjoy this swim whenever I get a chance to fish it because you've got a lot of options. So we've now sort of like edged round onto what we call the other side of the swim, which by all stretch of the imagination you can see is quite a big chunk of water. But I must stress, this is a single swim with the option to invite a friend or a dad and a lad to fish. You know, it'd be a good swim for a dad and a lad, you know, but ultimately it's a single swim. But we talked about open water. Now look at the margins you've got. You've got loads of overhanging stuff. The fish, if you go round there, you'll see the fish underneath the overhanging trees, so you know they're there. So obviously you then aim to get as close as you can, clipping up again, which is, we've mentioned so much so far, but it's very important. And then you can tuck a bait round to the left of the swim here. Again, the margins drop off nice and steeply. Right, but they're very deep in the edge and the fish hug the margins. So again, a bait placed critically tight to the margin is excellent. Then as you come further on the bank, there is a sluice which was built to help adjust the water levels. If the water levels get too high, you can run some of the water off. But that spot, I've never fished any lake where they have a sluice that it isn't a good swim. And it must be something to do with the way the water flows in and out at times, but sluices invariably are good swims, and it's exactly the same here. A bait as tight to that sluice as possible is always good for a bite, and you can go round there, just drop your baits in by hand, so it's not complicated. You can bait very accurately, and even to the extent where in some places you can cast onto the margins, go round, tie your rig on and drop it right in the spot with a handful of bait. Can't get better presentation than that. So a lot of margins, but because this swim is so big, you've also got a fair chunk of open water here. So it's one of those swims which it's almost ridiculous it's a one-man swim, but let me assure you it is. It's a one-man swim. So get into the swim here. You've got so many options that you could fish here for a month and never cut and cast to all the spots that look like they should produce fish. So a very nice swim, it'll keep you busy all week.